Temple Fang is a heavy psych rock band out of Amsterdam. They recently released their latest record, which is entitled Lifted from the Wind. It's available now on streaming and on vinyl format through Stickman Records. Recently, I sat down with Dennis from the band and we discussed his long history in the heavy rock scene in Europe and America both. We also had a genuine conversation about what it takes to be a successful rock and roll band in 2025. So without further ado, we'll just get right into it. This is a little bit of a longer interview, so just sit back and listen to this killer and genuine conversation with Dennis from Temple Fang. So yeah, man, you guys just did a gig last night, huh? How'd that go?
Yeah, it was. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to swear on this, but it was hot as balls.
Do it. Yeah.
It's a really great. We did a gig at a venue in Deventer here in Holland. And they do like summer shows, like on the patio, like in their garden.
Oh, nice.
And we've been wanting to play there for years. Like last year, Alden Witches and Cadaver played there.
Oh, yeah.
And next week we're going to see Brant Björk and King Buffalo.
Nice.
We got asked to be special guests of this other Dutch band called Dol. And it was fantastic, man. It was like 700 people, like in open air, like everybody. It was a great vibe. It was really warm outside. We had a great show. We were a little bit out of shape because we did a long tour and then didn't do anything for 2 weeks. So we rehearsed in the afternoon. We were like super.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It went well.
That's cool. How'd the last tour go? I've followed you guys. I'm a pretty new fan, so just as a caveat there, but I followed you guys when you started that tour, and how'd all that go? Looked like it was pretty banging for you.
It was amazing, like truly for us. I mean, we've been together for 7 years and had the pandemic, like right as we were getting started. So to be honest, like it was kind of a do or die tour for us as well. I mean, we really have to get some traction going with this new record. Otherwise, it would just be like really hard to continue on this thing. And it was a bit risky because the record was pretty much coming out like right as the tour started. Like even I think 2 days after we started the tour. So it was kind of wild. And then like we felt it grow like throughout the tour, and the crowds got like bigger, and it's definitely the best tour we've ever done.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there was no conflicts in the band. We did a different set list every night. Everyone was focused, like we got to really take this opportunity. It was 27 shows in 31 days. But to not have an argument, like, it's wild, you know?
Yeah. That can be a little rough sometimes.
And it's always been kind of rough, and this one was rough too. But everyone was really focused, and like we felt like we were really playing every night, like playing the room and playing different versions of songs like every night, and using the sound checks to make small subtle differences. And we played that for 3 or 4 shows and then do something else again. So it was the best tour for us ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm a new fan. I'm really interested in kind of your background and where you guys came up before Temple Fang. I know you got some deep roots in some heavy rock and some psychedelic. Kind of before we get started for real, why don't we just go through the background of yourself, the other members, and then up to Temple Fang now?
Yeah, I mean, I for me personally, like I've been music person since I was a teenager here in Holland, and started playing a lot when I was 16. I moved to Los Angeles when I was way too young to make it. Didn't make it. But gained a lot of experience, and also I was in Los Angeles in the 90s, and it was sort of like a graveyard of bands, and it was a really strange time, and I was kind of too young to really grasp it. But in retrospect, I can see that I met a lot of my favorite bands and a lot of my favorite musicians, and they were all really unhappy. They would tell me stories about their bands and their inner workings of the band and their business deals. And so I came back when I was like 25. I moved there when I was 18, came back when I was 25 to Holland, and was pretty disillusioned about like my dream, because it just felt like there was nothing to look forward to. You know? Like it sounded like a nightmare. Like all the guys that I looked up to, I'm not sure if I want to do that. But then there was I fell sort of in a punk rock scene here in Amsterdam, really wanted to be a part of it, but I really didn't know many people. And then I walked into a bar and saw Jevin, my now bandmate. I saw him play, and I had a vision, like, I have to play with this guy. I have to play with him. And I joined one of his bands, and he went on tour, and we've been pretty much playing together for 2 decades. So I tried to count the amount of bands we had. It's been like 12 or 13.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a lot. Do you guys
Yeah,
all
and
make
then we
records
break
with-
up for a while, and I go have my own band, and he do his own thing, and then we join up again. And so Temple Fang is really like the culmination of all that stuff.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah, and he's an American guy from California.
Oh,
So we
okay.
have that in common. We both have a California experience. And then 7 years ago, we formed Temple Fang kind of on a whim. I don't know if you're familiar with Keepy Records.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So my old band was signed to Death Alley, was signed to Keepy,
Okay.
and we had a really nasty breakup. And then one day, out of the blue, Keepy's owner Kenny called me. And he never calls me. And I was like, "Oh, pick up the phone." And I didn't have anything going at the time. And all he asked me was, "Hey, Dennis, do you have a band?" And I sort of didn't want to say no. But I had no band. So I told him, "Yeah, well, we're kind of jamming with some people, and we're getting some stuff together." And he's, "Oh, I just wanted to ask you, I'm doing a show pre-Roadburn. It's a festival here in Holland. 2 days before Roadburn, and some of my bands, like, maybe you want to open." And it was in, like, I think we had 3 months time to prepare for it. So I just called the first people that I thought of. And this was Jevin, guitar player, singer. And because he's lefty,
Mhm.
I knew one other lefty guitar player that I've been sort of jamming with like a young kid.
Right.
That was the only idea that we had, or that I had. I'm going to call my 2 lefty guitar player friends, and then maybe that's going to be something, you know?
Mhm.
And then we did that one show, and then we got asked to open for Coven for 2 shows. And before we knew it, we were in it. Like, we had a band, we had some songs, and it was never like premeditated, like, I want to start a new band. And it just kind of happened, which was wonderful, but it also led to its own problems because we were unprepared for anything. We didn't know, we had to sort of figure it out on the go. There was
Right.
no real plan or ambition. So yeah, and our drummer situation, this is our 3rd drummer, so which tells you something about the trajectory we've had for 7 years now.
Yeah, that's a big change when you change drummers.
It's huge.
Has it
Yeah.
changed the sound a lot? It makes the evolution kind of forced upon you then sometimes, huh?
Yeah, we're really not, like, we were never like a band that wanted to focus on old stuff. Like, you find a new drummer and you're excited about what this person brings to the band.
Mhm.
And then we always wanted to write new stuff with this guy and not spend so much time on learning the old songs. And it's never quite how it, should be or how it was. And so we've been kind of, and a lot of it had to do with COVID. We lost our first drummer in COVID, and then had to find a second drummer, and then hit the road really hard with him. And after 2 years of touring together, we figured out, we were just a different breed, I guess, of people.
Mhm.
So the fact that we found Don, our new drummer, he's been with us for 2 years now.
Right.
It was quite a miracle. There was no other candidates. We didn't have auditions. We just got a tip from somebody, like, check this young guy out.
Yeah.
We did, and nobody committed. We did a couple of small tour, like summer tour, and then slowly that grew into a commitment. And then by the time, like, we were making the record, it was clear to everyone, like, all right, this is the band. There's no turning back. But musicians know this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
At some point, it's like when it's working, like, nobody's going to walk away.
Right. Yeah.
That's where we are now.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your drummer, the drums on the new record sound amazing. He's got a really, really killer feel. You can really tell you guys are gelling on that. I mean, the latest album is Lifted from the Wind. It does feel like a major milestone for you, as you were kind of mentioning. Can you walk us through, like, the creative process behind it? I mean, was there a particular track or moment that defined the direction of the record? And my 2 favorites are, I think they were the singles, The River and The Radiant.
Yeah.
So kind of walk us through
Radiance, the Radiance, an old song that we had, we call it Temple Fang 1.0, like the first lineup. we had that song pretty much in that same form for a long time. But we started, we realized like the first time we played with Don, our drummer, literally the first thing we played was I had this bass riff and it turned into Once that made the
Oh,
record. It was
right.
literally like the first, we record everything. If you listen to the like 001 recordings of Temple Fang 3.0, that's it. That's the riff.
Yeah.
And so we went through some months, we did some touring with him and we wrote a bunch of songs and everybody was really optimistic about it. And then we just kind of got hit with the storm in our personal lives. And basically by the time we were supposed to really do the record and start recording, we were practically broken up.
Oh, wow.
It was like just to, it's hard to keep a band together for anyone that's in a band. And, there was no money and there was no real perspective. And we just kind of buckled under the weight of that for a while. But we had a tour planned and a studio booked. So we sort of rehearsed the songs and figured we're not going to cancel the tour. We don't cancel. We have to play in some form or another. And we did the tour. It was like 8 shows in April last year. And that kind of was special. Everybody was feeling it and songs were coming together and live. And then we decided to go ahead and not cancel the studio date. So we went in for a week, I think, just do basic tracks. And that's, I think, maybe 3/4 of the basic tracks of the record were laid in that week. And then slowly we started believing in the record and, we figured out our differences with each other. And then we continued, wrote more songs, did another tour, went into the studio again, finished the record. And during this whole process, everything fell together and we started really believing in the music, in each other. So we came out completely changed.
Yeah.
There's no conflict now. Everything is, everybody's facing the same direction.
Right.
So it's quite a miracle. I still can't really believe that we actually pulled it together or made this record.
Right. That's awesome. So you said you're kind of touring in between the studio sessions.
Yeah.
Were you playing the new material live? Not the first record?
Yeah. The last tour we did before the final recordings, we just played the record. And that's a bit of a stretch.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, the fans that we already had know this. That's how we do it. And we never really play the same set. We just kind of have these periods where we're into certain stuff. But some shows is that we play one song, and just stretch it.
Right.
The people that were already with us, I think they felt like it was logical, what we did. But it was strange playing an hour and 15 minutes of new stuff that also wasn't really together. We were changing lyrics every night, And,
yeah.
But I think for Temple Fang, it's really the only way to do it. The songs change because of the live experience, and it feeds off the audience kind of. We like to stretch things, but you have to really feel when are you losing them? When are you losing your crowd? When is it too long? So it's got to be right on that cusp. And you stretch it, and then it doesn't change.
Yeah.
So we've always done it like that with this band. So I think, but by the time, you get to the studio, you're really dialed in. You can, those 20-minute songs are one takers, some of them.
Wow. Yeah. That's impressive. That was kind of leading into my next question. Obviously you guys are known for the long, expansive compositions. Both records have some pretty long songs on it. I love, I dig it. I mean, tracks like The River, they're over probably 18 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, River's 18.
Yeah. What kind of draws you to that kind of song structure, and how do you keep it both fresh live in the studio, and then you get off tour, you kind of jamming it on tour, you get in there, but when you get into a studio situation, you said it was kind of hashed out, but do you make minute changes? I mean, how do you map out a song so big? Because I'm a musician too, but I've never been in a band that has 18-minute songs,
Right. Well, I know most of us, me and Jevin, we've always been into the epic song on the record, whatever band has the last song on the record is super long. we've always been into that. And we went through a period of trying to be more like a, a traditional rock band, with, like, shorter songs. And for some reason, like every time we write the shorter song, we start jamming on it, and then it would just kind of stretch itself out, and we couldn't really stop it. So for this record, we made a conscious choice. So let's make a double album. That's really, this form that we've been, kind of working on for 7 years. Let's really try to get really crystallize it into, the best version that we can think of.
Right.
But it's a long process, and in the end, like, everybody has to sign off on it, which is that's the hardest thing. Like, how long should we make this part? Like, we all should hit on that point. Like, this is it. But before we get there, it goes through many rewrites, recording everything, listening back to it. Going, on the road again, playing it again, different version. And so it can be a real pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It's not always fun, but as I said, for this record, somewhere just fell together, and then everybody was feeling it. And then you gotta finish it too.
Yeah, for sure.
I was just telling somebody yesterday, both for this record and the record before, it just happened to be that I worked a night shift job in a hotel, like a musician's hotel. So I would have all this time at night with nothing to do. So I wrote a lot of the lyrics and a lot of the arrangements, because I would have a concentration at night there that I could never have in the daytime.
Right.
I would focus on this little piece of music. If I come up with one good line that was better than the line that was there before,
Right.
I was, successful. It's a long process, and we're now in kind of like starting to get in writing mode, like writing new stuff, and maybe for the fall tour we start, putting some new stuff in there.
Great.
I notice everyone is, let's not do the 20-minute ballad anymore. Let's really, it's quite a trip. And to end up with a live take, pick one of the, we do maybe 4 or 5 takes of a song. You can't do 4 or 5 takes in a row.
Right.
Do
Right.
one and then say, oh, let's do another one. No, we got to go for a walk or go for a drive, and then sort of come back to it like a little bit later.
Great approach.
And I just trust our process that at some point we all reach the point, this is the song.
Right.
But then now we've been on tour, the songs are changing.
Yeah. Hey, have you guys had any short sets? Like you have to play 40 minutes and that's like
it's a
songs for you.
It's like I have a timer on my pedal board now. We saw it in King Gizzard Rig Rundown.
Okay.
Like, oh my God, we should have that, because like in the middle of a festival set, I'm always the one, everybody's so spaced out, but I feel like being in front, like I'm responsible for it for some reason. So I always freak out somewhere in the set, looking at the drummer. No, don't extend it.
Yeah.
then the drummer bought me a timer for my pedal board. So, but yeah, it's quite a puzzle.
Yeah.
Like yesterday we had an hour set, and we really, in rehearsal, we timed it out. So we ended up going 2 minutes over time, which is okay. But if you go 5 minutes over time in a festival setting, like, you're not making any friends there.
Yeah, they're all pissed off. Yeah. Even
So
even a standard tour, you got to be pretty tight with the time.
Yeah. And luckily, like, now our repertoire is a little bit bigger. We have a little bit more to choose from. So we can really like lay the puzzle in a couple of different ways. But we've had on this tour as well, I think the shortest set we had was like 50 minutes. It's not easy to pack this, a certain Temple Fang, to represent Temple Fang in 50 minutes. It can be done, but it's a challenge.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know what, I find like intros kind of help fill that in. If there's like a 3 or 4 minute gap and you don't know what to do with it, you can make an intro for the band and it's come out like rock stars.
Yeah, we do that. We have a loop station.
Yeah.
Prepare, and every night it's like we make the loops in the sound check or line check.
Okay.
Then they start, somebody clicks on the amps, and then it starts playing. So sometimes we leave it on for a little bit to create space.
Yeah.
But the songs for the new songs, we're still figuring this out. But for a bunch of the old songs we played, there's different arrangements. So we have the short version and the extended version, and then the extra extended version with another like whole new chord progression in there or whatever.
Oh wow.
There's different versions, and sometimes we do it like for the club shows, we do it on cue often. Nah, this is the long one, but for festival sets we sort of glad to blend it out.
Yeah. How's the festival circuit for you? I'm just curious because I haven't been to any European festivals.
No, I mean, we're really blessed, and I think especially because a lot of our American friends, bands, they know this. Like they know when they come to Europe, like they can pretty much tour a whole summer based
on those.
festivals.
Yeah.
And especially in Germany, they have, I don't know, it seems like endless amount of sort of festivals that are somewhat in this genre or like overlapping.
Yeah. Right.
There's still, I've been playing in that scene for a long time, and there's still festivals like with great lineups that I've never heard of. I mean,
me too.
I think the festival scene, like I think right now is amazing. Like, the lineups are like even though they're sort of stoner doom fest, the lineups are getting more interesting. Like the genre is sort of widening, I guess. So we're really blessed. I think in Europe also, like a lot of the festivals are in sort of remote locations, like special locations. So Duna Jam is on, you could be on a cliff somewhere playing.
Yeah. Pulp Festival, that's another one.
We played Pulp like in I don't know how high up in the mountains that was.
Yeah, it looks awesome, man.
Dude, it was, you could just hear everything like ricocheting like in this valley. We're playing there again in August, inside of this volcano crater in Scotland.
Oh wow.
Laser show on the back wall. So all these festivals are quite like small and like community ran, and they treat bands really nice. Like the distance between the audience and the band is not so big,
Mm-hmm.
Just hang out, and yeah, I think it's really great. I'm super grateful for all these places. Like it's bucket list after bucket list.
Yeah. I'd like to get out there sometime and kind of do. It would be cool to take a little European trip and just hit.
You should.
Festival.
I run into JJ from the Obelisk. Like he comes to the European festival sometimes, and he's like a kid in the candy store.
Yeah, right.
Oh my god! So I have no idea. It's been a long. Like Temple Fang has never played the U.S.
Yeah,
my previous band has, but I think we played Psycho Las Vegas and JJ's.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a wild trip, but I really have no comparison to what it's like in the U.S.
Well, what I'm starting to notice is we have a lot of festivals here in the U.S., but a lot of them are very corporate.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gatekeepers with that.
Yeah.
But what I'm starting to see is, there's little smaller local festivals in the States and stuff ran by the cities.
Yeah.
That seems to be a little less locked up. The big festivals here, it's all, major label stuff, and not all the time. Sometimes the indie bands get on there, but it's more ran like that. Like
we have that here as well, like the pop scene. Like I work as a tour manager for the Dutch pop band, and that's all kind of that corporate. And there's a lot of controversy right now because a lot of those festivals are being bought up by investment companies. And we were just talking about it yesterday. Like we play these little psych rock festivals in Germany. It's 4,000 people maybe.
Yeah.
No investment group is going to buy that festival.
That's awesome. Good.
We're very, very lucky. And as I said, the lineups are the past few years have been amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of young bands coming up that are like really pushing the rock genre.
Right. I think you guys would fit really well if you ever had a chance to come to America. There is a big jam band scene here, and it's a little different than what you guys are doing, but it's like you would fit right in with that. If there's ever somebody that you could connect with out here that's into that scene to get you out here,
that's a good idea. Like our guitar player in like the California band, like he's a total deadhead.
Yeah.
We all the Dead, and we listen to a lot of it in the band, but he's like proper Deadhead,
Yeah.
As a teenager, went to follow the Dead, and his parents did, as well.
Right.
But there's a huge influence of the Grateful Dead on Temple Fang for sure, especially in the way Like the Dead would like have different versions of songs, and they would transform, and then there would be like the Spanish part that was in there for just those 3 months.
Yeah,
All
right.
the taping, all the live stuff. That's all like the Grateful Dead influence. For sure.
Right. I still think that's a good idea to let fans like let those tapers come in and taper shows and just put them out on nugs.net or whatever and just
Yeah, totally. It's wild. Sometimes people send me recordings from years ago that, I have no idea. I remember the show vaguely, but then you hear it back, and people will ask me like, because we jam and sound checks as well. And so the real heads, they'll come to the sound check at the festival, while the other band's playing
Right.
on the stage. We'll do the sound check on the small stage, and they'll record the sound check. So, hey, Dennis, do you want me to send you the sound check too? Oh, you recorded this? Like somebody recorded the Do Not Jam sound check that we did. It was way better than the show.
Yeah.
So this whole like taper culture is super cool, especially for a band that like us that plays different sets,
Right.
versions of songs every time. We'll forget that this song had a different part like 2 years ago.
Right. Yeah. I know a couple people that just go to shows to transcribe everything and put a record of everything. And if you can connect with those people that can get a soundboard mix of your stuff, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
You could put it out on bonus tracks or whatever you want if you wanted to
Yeah.
put it that way.
I mean, I love that part of like rock and roll culture.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Really get involved and they start nerding out on it. Like I'm that to a certain degree as well.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, I really appreciate it. There seems to be kind of getting back to the songs. There seems to be a strong sense of duality in your music, meaning kind of light and dark.
That's it. Yeah.
It's light. It's structured. But also a little bit. Some free form with the jammy kind of stuff. Is that something you consciously aim for, like with the lyrics, as far as thematically?
Yeah, that was one of the few like real ideas that we had starting the band, where like we were sort of fantasizing about could we go from like the smallest, like quietest, beautiful part and have it like, all the way on the spectrum, and then just go all the way to the other side and have it explode in this super loud like, explosion.
Yeah.
So, and I think when Jevin came up with the band name Temple Fang, I had no idea. I just thought it sounded good. But later on, he explained like, right, Temple, that's our sort of gentle, reverential, devotional side, and then the Fang part is when you fuck with us, and then we'll show our teeth, and then we get like mean and weird and loud.
Yeah.
And so that's always been there, and that's a conscious thing as far as like the Lifted from the Wind record as well. We really tried to, like part B of the river is almost like folky. It's like a ballad, and then it goes back to a heavier thing. So it's really like the interplay between all those like, different sides, having the two singers as well.
Oh yeah, that's always a plus.
Yeah, that's been there from the start.
Yeah.
We're all into that stuff as well. If you'd hear what we listen to in the band, that's from like Jerry Mitchell to Slayer.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of blending all those together too. It's pretty wild and weird. And I love that stuff, man.
You can't fit it all in there, but you could try.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have to. If you want to be original, there's originality still in the world in art and music. It's just what you guys are doing is experimenting and finding it. It's just that's what I love about bands like Temple Fang is it's not, conventional by any means, and that's how you find like your true voice, especially when there's a billion bands out there and they're kind of emulating things. So I mean, that is a brave thing.
I appreciate that, and I mean for us, like the way we perceive rock music is it's 50% based in tradition. We're the same band as going all the way back to I don't know the Beatles, or it's the same thing with the four guys in a room with guitars.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like the 50% that's your own experience. So we believe in we're traditional rock band.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Bass, drums, and vocals. But within that, believing in that form, try to give it something like that it's ours, but also of our time. And sometimes people describe it as a retro 70s band, but it's really, we listen to all of that stuff. But we never try to be a retro band. We don't try to be like Zeppelin, Sabbath, or whatever.
Right.
So
I think you have a modern sound. I wouldn't call you retro. I mean,
no, I mean it's kind of a catchphrase that I think, you know, the music biz likes to use. It just puts it in the category, which is, you know, I understand. But that's definitely not how we see it. Like we're in the now, and we're just influenced by our, you know, surroundings or what we listen to.
sure.
But yeah, like traditional rock band is great, but let's try and, you know,
Yeah.
like it's a continuum. So let's try to be like in the now with it.
Yeah, and you're still original. You know, and as the records,
Thanks. And that's accidental. Like that just, you either reach that or not, you know. I think for us as musicians, that takes a long time too. You know, we're like two of us are older than the other two. For us, it took a long time to sort of shake off your influences or the, you know, the categories that you want to be in, you know.
right.
So that was just, I think there's a line in one's sort of repetitive line that says making miles, just making miles. That's what it refers to. Like sometimes you just got to do something for a long time and keep it up. And then all of a sudden somebody said, hey, it's really original. I've never heard it before. But if you try to be original, how, you know, how are you going to do this?
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, that's what drew me to your sound. Again, I'm a new fan. I can't remember where I found you guys. It's probably on Instagram or something. But I follow Stickman Records. There's several bands there. I find that label fascinating. I would love to get one of those guys on to talk about them sometime. But
yeah, you should. You should. Their story is very interesting. And I'll be honest with you, like we're very much a DIY band. We still are. Like we still make our own merch designs. We make our own album covers. Like everything is ours. So we said basically in the beginning of this band, like all of us had gotten burned before in the industry. And so we weren't really going to sign with a label. And Temple Fang was kind of an experiment in what can we do without all that stuff, you know, like we got some experience, like maybe we could book our own shows and, you know, release our own records, and we did. And then Stickman approached us, and like we had one conversation with them. We knew obviously the Motorcycle and Elder and all those bands.
yeah, delving.
And then it just started dawning on us at some point, like I think Stickman is like our only option here. Like we really couldn't think of another label that could possibly, you know, work with us and you know, it feels like we're at this point like a family. And they waited for us for years to finally deliver this record, and we delivered it to them on the deadline day. So they sent it to the press without having heard it, and then listened to it and said, "Oh, it's great."
Oh, I can already tell you then they're a good group of folks then, you know, about the art and the music.
Yeah, and they don't sign a lot of bands. So which means that the bands that they do sign, they're sort of related in a way already. So we feel it like when we play with Elder, for example, like their process of how they make their music is very different than ours. But there's an overlap there. We love them, and you know, they love us, and
Definitely.
so they really, Stickman is, after like Motorcycle left, which was, you know, tragic, but they've been really building a new roster with bands that like we like all the bands on Stickman, which is amazing. So they seem to have carved out a little niche, you know, and they're very artist friendly label.
How long have they been around?
I think last year was like the 30th anniversary. Like they started the label.
Oh wow.
They started the label to put out Motorcycle records.
Okay, what is that, a band, Motorcycle?
Yeah, Motorcycle is not a big deal in the States. They never got much traction. They're a Norwegian band with a deep catalog, and they were like a hit in the 90s. They sort of had some mainstreamish grungy hits, and then they went off on their own like psych rock trajectory. They're a huge band, like in the European scene.
Yeah, great.
There would be no Temple Fang without Motorcycle.
Okay, I'll check them out.
Yeah, check it out. I mean, it's a deep. You could lose months of your life.
Yeah, well, it's not losing, it's gaining. You know.
No, it's it's an incredible band, and they left Stickman when we were all sad about it.
Sure.
But there's a lot of other great new bands that are on Stickman.
Cool, man. I'm gonna dig a little further into
Yeah, you
see
should.
what's up. I mean, I love Elder King Buffalo. I think is on there.
Yeah,
Delving. Yeah, give us
yeah.
some
All
suggestions on who else we should listen to.
well, we are definitely got what the elder guys are doing is it's unrivaled, right? Like they got basically since we've been because Nick from Elder works for Stickman.
Oh, he does. Okay.
Yeah, he's their like digital guy, so we're in touch a lot. But I've seen Nick in the past year. I've seen him with Elder. I've seen him play drums for White, which is the other band he has with Michael, the guitar player.
Dude, that's
And then he
crazy.
has and I've seen him with Delving, where he like, and it's also him and Michael. So they got three bands going. They keep, you see him with Elder in these huge venues, and then with White, they're in a little squat.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
town here in Holland, like sleeping in
And
bunk beds and
I don't know if you've heard that record. Oh, I forgot about the record what he did with the collaboration with Cadavar too, or Cadaver.
yeah, Eldovar.
Eldevar. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that was amazing.
Dude, great record. It was very Pink Floydy to me. It was
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
very retro-ish, and it was
yeah,
but modern and cool as hell, man. They had those.
yeah, because they both live in Berlin, so they
Yeah,
hooked up. So that's for us. They're just such amazing musicians who just keep like making these records that surprise us. Like we heard some of the newer Elder stuff that was like so wild, and so that's definitely those guys are big inspiration at the label. There's a Danish, I believe they're from Denmark, a band called Papier.
oh yeah, I have one of their records. Yeah.
Yeah, they're also on Stigman. They don't tour so much, so people don't know them all that well, but they are amazing. And there's a Dutch band that's my old bandmate from a band called Death Alley. They have a band called Iron Gin, and it's an acquired taste kind of because they're
Right.
really weird, but they're for sure the best like Dutch psych rock band.
Definitely.
You're a little bit, I guess, with Temple Fang, we're a little bit more accessible than
Yeah.
they are. They're really strange and proggy, but like they're also in Stickman, and yeah, it's highly recommended.
Excellent. Well, I mean, one of my missions doing this podcast is I love all this music. You do too. It's a great community. I'm trying to
Yeah,
spread the word in the power that I have, which is very little still, but
yeah.
we're gonna keep going as we move along. Like for fans that may be discovering Temple Fang for the first time, what's one thing you hope they take away from your music, whether it be live or on record, which I think are probably two totally different experiences. But what would you say about that?
Well, especially, I mean, if you're young and like maybe new to the scene, and we see those kids at shows. And for a while, like after COVID, we were scared that we were going to be like, playing for 40 plus German men.
Yeah.
And because they came out of the pandemic, they had money, so they were still able to go to the shows. But on the past tour, we had the diverse crowd that we always wanted, like everyone, like everyone is welcome. From the, you see like little couples, little boy and a girl, like pink hair,
Yeah.
at the psych rock show for the first time,
Yeah.
combined with all these old like German ponytailed, like gray haired blues guys,
Yeah. Yeah.
and a lot of women. So, I mean, if you're new to the genre, I'd say, and this goes for a lot of bands in our scene, it can open a world for you because Temple Fang doesn't exist like by itself.
Right.
It has all kinds of connections. A friends band, a label with all kinds of bands on it. So if you're new to the genre, whether you're 16 or 50, I see these things sometimes on Instagram or whatever, Facebook. Like it's like some 50-year-old guy who hasn't listened to new music for decades finds a way in to this genre, and then there's it's a world opening up, and it can be quite hidden, as you know. This rock music is not the popular.
No. It's in the underground, man. And as a
Yeah.
fan and a musician myself, I think that's actually cool. I think that's where rock and roll belongs in this day and age,
I agree, and because it really separates, the people who do it like for the right reasons, for the wrong reasons. I
Yeah.
feel the scene's really healthy, like it's very creative. Like a rock music is not a stagnant
No.
form.
No.
So I'd say that's what I always hope. I mean, and that's what I did for me as well. I started discovering like modern rock bands when I was pretty disillusioned about the whole thing. Like
Yep.
I did a bunch of like punk bands with Jevin. And at some point, like after a couple of years of punk touring squats in Europe, you're like, oh man, this is how long are we gonna do this, you know?
Yeah.
And then we had this festival called Roadburn in Holland, and that just exposed us to, I mean, that pretty much decided our taste for the next, you know, decades to come, really.
Right.
So I think that's what I really hope that people find a way in.
Yeah.
It is incredible, and it's international too. You know, like people listen to this stuff. If we see the stats for who listens to us on Spotify or who orders the record,
Yeah.
all over. Man.
Yeah.
There's these small pockets of people who turn each other on, and some of it is very organic. It's just people in you know Facebook groups like check this record out.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, man.
That's what I
word
really,
about.
yeah, that's what I really hope because you know it's a community.
Absolutely. And it's a great community too. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, King Buffalo, you know, I follow them a lot and all
yeah,
the
we toured with them.
Yeah.
We did a
And
European tour like 2 years ago, and that was
it's like,
funny because we didn't know each other. We just have the same booking agent,
yeah.
and we were at the time, I think, also like pretty wild. You know, we would throw our guitars on the stage, you know, and just walk off after the show, and they're a little bit more controlled. And so for the first couple of shows, they looked at us like, "Who are these guys?" You know,
It's rock and roll, man. You know?
like weed smoking Amsterdam wild rock guys.
Yeah.
And then on the tour somewhere, you know, you'd see them side stage, you know, at some point, like in the show, and then Dan, the bass player, like the last few shows, he was behind my amp and like, checking
Yeah,
it out.
watching.
We left the tour as friends, you know, like admirers of each other.
Yeah.
And so they, I mean, it's quite a miracle that a band like King Buffalo, they're doing so well. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Tour,
And
like, it's not a miracle. I mean, they tour a lot, but it's not the most accessible. They're long songs too. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you know what I was getting to on bringing them up is the fan community is amazing.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
just-
part of I'm a member of the Facebook group.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
learn a lot there.
Yeah, man. It's like running into old friends every time.
Yeah.
It's like total strangers. Oh, you hear this song and this song, and then we end up buying drinks for each other. It's really cool.
And that's what it is. And that I guess that's what being underground sort of does.
Yeah.
It's people realize like without them it doesn't exist.
Right.
Like we noticed that in the pandemic and post-pandemic too. Like we were really struggling, you know, with debts, and we couldn't play. Like how are we going to make money? We started noticing just like our Bandcamp sales went up, and then we would ask people like, "Are you buying merch because you know you're supporting the band?" Like when it's really difficult time for us, we're like, "Yeah, of course, man. We know how it is for you guys."
Yeah.
So that for us that changed something. It made us less, I don't know what the word is, like maybe egocentric. Was it like it stopped really being about us the whole time? Like, this is my band, and this is my, and it really showed us like, oh, it's a community. People know that they should buy the shirt and buy the record, and it means that this thing can continue.
Right. Yeah.
I really feel that post-pandemic is something has changed in the scene or in the audiences in the bands. Like it's really, oh my God, we lost it all.
Right.
Now we're back, and it's difficult because the you know the money's not as great as it was before the pandemic. You know, like people have no savings. You know, like also like the promoters, and it's a little bit stressy at the moment. But it's a community, and that's all I ever wanted from rock and roll, really.
Right. That's the point of this podcast too, is just to foster a rock and roll community. So working on that for sure. You mentioned your streams, and the reason why I asked this, do you guys know how you're doing stream wise in America? Because it'd be great to see you guys come out here. I know it's probably tough, especially in this political climate we're in, which we don't need to get into, but it's man, I want to see all these bands come out. You guys, Greenleaf has never come out. Graveyard stuff
never come out.
I've never seen, dude. I've been following Greenleaf since 2007, and they've never toured America, as far as I know. Not, I mean, maybe back in the day prior, but I've been watching and watching. And they, you know, there's probably reasons for that we don't know. But even bands like Graveyard, who used to tour America all the time, just are.
Yeah, I remember them touring America. Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there a prospect for eventually getting a U.S. tour out here?
Well, we definitely have some traction in the US, which is, we had it for a little bit, but this new record is definitely like, we got a lot of orders in the US because we don't have distro there. So we are, and Stickman is talking to some labels for possible distribution. We are too. So we just got a couple of sort of semi offers. These people checking with us like, hey, would you be interested in, and obviously there's like the option, like Elder or King Buffalo would ask us, we'd seriously consider it. It's just becoming it's really expensive. Like the visas.
Yeah. That needs to change.
I think it's like 2,000 euros for like working visa for us.
For one person?
Yeah. And
That's
we
ridiculous.
have some in Holland. We are eligible for some funding from like the arts funds. But it would be difficult. And I have to tell you, in the modern age, it's really uncertain if you can enter the country. So we're definitely not saying no to it, but we kind of fear the showing up at the border and somebody telling us like, no, I'm having to cancel the whole tour.
Huh.
But we're planning. We have a meeting about it next week, 2 weeks from now.
Okay,
We're
great.
going to look at what is it really going to take. We have some complications as well because of our past, and like our American guitar player is a Dutch nationality now.
Yeah.
But we're going to look into it. I'm not sure, if it's maybe a support tour or but I would be interested in playing a cool festival, something.
Yeah.
Like that. It's just
Yeah.
a one-off show, or I don't rule it out, but the current climate doesn't make it any easier.
Right. It's such a drag. Well, hopefully
Yeah,
we'll
it's
hope for
really
the
bad.
best, and hopefully it'll change later on. We'll see.
I mean, we all have a love for America. I lived there for 6 years, and
Yeah.
Jevon's from there, so
Yeah.
it'd be nice to play there.
Yeah, there's definitely a market for the music you guys are playing
Yeah.
here for sure. Tons of fans that are waiting for these kind of bands to show up. So, well, where can everybody find Temple Fang and follow you guys and support and buy all your merch and stuff?
I mean, now we were sort of like under the radar for a long time. We didn't have any Spotify. We have Spotify now. Like we didn't have Instagram. We have Instagram now. So we pretty much have all the platforms, and we made a conscious effort with this new record to really engage in it, and booking agents and Stickman work together with us on this. We never had any PR, never did
Yeah.
interviews, and so we realized that for this record, like we put so much into it, like including all our money, like all our savings.
Oh, wow.
We
Yeah.
went on tour. I think we owed people like 40 grand or something.
Oh my God.
So we came off the tour, made all the money back, so we're good. But we realized, right, if we don't want to get stuck in this particular, spot that we were in, we really have to play the game somewhat, and I have to say, we've been enjoying it too. Really trying to get traction and doing interviews, and so yeah, we're on all the platforms.
Excellent.
But
Excellent.
we're not on TikTok.
That's a good one. I just got on too, and I'm like, dang, man. I mean, this shit just grows immediately. If you just keep posting, it's pretty good algorithm. I would recommend jumping on there. Get on, I'll follow you for sure.
We have somebody helping us out now with the content.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, just between doing all the merch ourselves and all the designs, and we realized, I mean, that's how Stickman signed us. It's a cool rock story. They sat down with us at Freak Valley, one of these festivals in Germany.
Yeah, Freak Valley, yeah.
Beautiful festival. They sat down with us and said, hey, we see you guys, we're fans, and do you guys really do everything yourselves? Yeah. Including all the shipping, and do all the shipping ourselves. Oh, you guys are, how many records do you sell? Maybe like 1,000,
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. It's a crazy amount of work. What if you sell 2,000 records, Dennis? You still do it yourself? And they just had me there. No, not impossible. Well, this is where we come in.
Yep, you get the family members to come in and start.
I mean,
helping out.
Between all that, and we noticed, finishing this record. God, we'll need some help. Some people need to make some. I can't be sitting backstage like editing videos and stuff.
Yeah.
I know, for example, like King Buffalo, they do practically everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got some help now, and we all realize we're going to be hopefully doing this for a while. Like the band is solid,
Yeah.
and the music is great, and it's the best time for us, I think, ever in music. So
Well, I got to tell you, man, I mean, even if you're shipping your own stuff, all your merch and stuff and doing all that work, that's the dream job. When you're shipping for yourself and
I love it. Yeah, I've done it for a long time. It just at some point, like for example, like we realized yesterday at the show that we've been home for 2 weeks after the tour. I had not touched a bass guitar since the tour. Like we had a small rehearsal before the show yesterday. I realized like I haven't played for 2 weeks because I've been just like on phone and mailing. So it's really, I think it's important for all of us to create that balance.
Yes.
I really want to be like a musician too, and not just the social media content.
Yes.
maker.
I go through the same thing, man. Do the same thing. I got to hustle to do this and then band stuff too. So it's, I'm in that spot now where it's okay. No one to back off. I want to go, 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 but sometimes put the brakes on and just chill for a day. It's
I find this very hard.
Yeah, me too.
I need my friends. I need my friends to tell me like you should take a day off. And it's also really bold, like what you're doing or what we're doing. That's what you want to do, right? That's the dream. So I'm not complaining about it. I just got to learn to balance things out.
Sure. Yeah, for everybody listening, we're not complaining. It's just
no, definitely not. No.
It's important for everybody that's listening to both bands and podcasts that this is a lot of work, and if you're doing both, it's it's a lot.
Yeah, it's also an opportunity to learn stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I tell young people this as well. You start playing in a band because you want to play guitar, but all the other things I learned through rock and roll, like how does pressing a vinyl work, how does screen printing work? Oh, maybe I should learn to do it myself so I know what it is, and how do you book a show, how does it? So I think like really rock and roll can be like your life where you just learn so much more than just a scale.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm right there with you, man. Yeah. Well, Dennis, hang on the line with me, but I guess we'll wrap it up. I want to talk to you a little bit about some other stuff, but thanks for joining us today, man. Is there anything else you want to say to the fans all over the world? I'm, just as a closing statement.
Yeah, I think I pretty much said it all. I'm just very grateful to be able to do it, and it feels like the world is listening to what we do more than maybe we ever imagined. I'm just grateful for the greater rock and roll community of people, putting in the work and coming to the shows and buying the merch.
Absolutely, man. Rock and roll fans are the best fans. I keep saying it.
Yes, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you, man. And let's do it again sometime soon. Maybe when the next record comes out or when you get that US tour, and we'll talk soon.
Anytime.
Take it easy.